I've got right here 3 different 3-inch toothpick quadcopters. One with DJI, one with analog, and yes, one with Byte. And we're going to tackle a question today of which one of those is best. And in addition, I've got this little guy, which is not like any of them, but BetaFPV sent it to me a while back, and you can buy it, and it does contain a naked Vista, and unlike all of these guys, which you have to build yourself, so let's just see how it stacks up as well. I'm Joshua Bardwell, and you're going to learn something today. The only products you're going to see in this video that were sent to me by a store or a manufacturer are the little 1S BabyTooth, which was built by Kebab FPV and sent to me. He has the FPVCycle store where he sells these parts, and this was sent to me by BetaFPV. Everything else you're going to see in this video was purchased by an individual from a store with real money. I didn't receive any cash or other compensation in exchange for making this video, and nobody other than me has had any editorial input or control or approval over anything I say in this video. If you fly 5-inch quadcopters, then you pretty much got your pick of video systems. You can fly analog, you can fly digital, the weight and the performance is slightly different, but you can pretty much always make it work. But when you fly 3-inch quadcopters, things get a lot more restrictive. You've really got to make the most of your weight, and every gram counts. And that's why you end up flying a design like this. This is a 1S BabyTooth from FPVCycle. And a lot of people would say, how is it fair for you to compare a 1S quadcopter to some of these other guys are 2S or even 3S? They're clearly going to have more power. But the proponents of the toothpick design say that the sweet spot is actually to get it as light as possible, and that this little 1S guy is actually where you want to be. And the only reason that they're going up to 2S or 3S on the heavier builds is to deal with that additional weight. So here we've got the 1S BabyTooth from FPVCycle, and I'll go ahead and put the specs on the left side of the screen so you can see roughly what we're dealing with. When DJI first came out with their FPV system, a lot of people felt that the air unit was just too big and heavy to make it into this smaller class of quadcopter. They tried. For example, the Transtech Beetle was a 2.5-inch quadcopter that carried a full air unit. The Vista didn't even exist yet. So this is an FPVCycle toothpick, 3-inch quadcopter, and it has a naked Vista in it, which is Caddx Vista that has been decased, so it's just naked boards. It saves about 12 grams. And I'll go ahead and put the specs for this quadcopter over on the left side of the screen as well. By the way, thank you to Robert Landrum. He's one of my patrons, and he actually built this quadcopter originally. He's got a full build tutorial over on his channel, and I've got a tutorial about how you can make a naked Vista. I'll put links to those down in the video description. But DJI is not the only digital FPV system out there, is it? Byte is out there too. Fat Shark's Byte has a significant advantage in this class of quadcopter because they have a single board 200 milliwatt video transmitter that fits on a build like this, and it is lighter than even a naked Caddx Vista. And this build was sent to me by Nate Payne, also known as Mr. Shutterbug, one of the premier builders and designers of micro quadcopters. This guy is pushing micro quadcopters to do things that nobody believed that they could. If you, like me, hate building micros, there are still some options out there. This is a BetaFPV 75X with a naked Vista in it, and BetaFPV sells it exactly like you see. You can buy it with the receiver pre-installed. Basically just buy in the receiver, do some basic Betaflight setup, and you're ready to go. And there's just no question. It's not going to fly as well as these toothpicks. It's heavier. It has different props. It's ducted, but we're going to put it in the air because it is at least an option for something you can buy ready to fly. And BetaFPV deserves some credit for being one of the first vendors to actually put a naked Vista inside a ready to fly quadcopter, a bind to fly quadcopter. And at this point, what more is there to say? Except, well, let's go fly them.
Y'all want to see my quadcopters, huh? Just step back into my barn over yonder. Don't be scared. Nothing to be scared of in the barn. No, sir. this here is Steven's bed. Steven's the barn squirrel. Hey, Steven, where you at? Steven! All right, let's put this sucker in the air. And I have a full review of this little guy on my channel. It flies so freaking well for a 1S. Like, it's just unbelievable. The first thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna do some kind of, I say fast passes. This isn't like racer fast, but just gonna get a little speed in the short, oh shit. Rapid fire, you betrayed me. Rapid fire sync lock. Even short sync lock on rapid fire was not enough to save me in a tight environment like this. We're going to mode 2. That's better. Oh, hello, bird. Bird thought I'd come say hello. Check me out. Where is it clear? How about here? Shoot. Oh, I was really hoping I wouldn't fall in that. Yeah. There's metal shavings in there. There's metal shavings in there. Next, we're going to take a look at the Caddx Vista, which is sort of the other end of the extreme. And I kind of think I already know how this is going to go, because this thing is way heavier, more powerful, and faster than that little 1S one. But in the interest of science, we're going to do it anyway. Oh. And the first thing I'm going to do is those kind of fast moves. Now this is cheating a little bit because right now I'm showing 27, 28 milliseconds of latency because I'm so close to myself. And it's kind of, oh, there was a little jump to 31. I got to watch where I'm going. I got to not watch the latency number. We'll have to put it on screen with the subtitle track. What if I go downstairs and force that latency up a little bit? I'm only at 200 milliwatts right now, so I'm not at max power. Latency still holding around 29, 25 milliseconds. While I got the DJI goggles on my head, I may as well give this BetaFPV 75X a try. I've already acknowledged this is not going to be anywhere near the same performance as the toothpicks, but it is a bind and fly quad you can buy with a naked Vista in it. Yeah, much less power. It's gonna crash better. I'm not scared of hitting the props. Okay, what's my problem? Why am I flying this better? Oh yeah, that's the Nebula Nano, the famous Nebula Nano halos. So that's a strike against this quad. I mean, it's acceptable, but it's not good. The camera image quality, full review of the Nebula Nano on my channel as well. Link in the video description. I don't hate it as much as I expected to compared to those toothpicks. The security of knowing that you got those prop guards if you do bump into something means you can kind of dive into those areas. It's heavier, it's slower. The throttle's easier to manage. I could just put a throttle curve on the other guys to make the throttle easier to manage. I don't hate it. We saw the lightest one, the analog quad. We saw the heaviest one, the DJI Naked Vista quad. Now it's time to look at what might be the Goldilocks one. Just right. This is arguably one of the lightest digital toothpicks you can build. And I say arguably one of the lightest because Mr. Shutterbug, Nate Payne, takes a lot of pride in building quads as light as he possibly can. And he specifically commented, he wanted me to say, this is a good balance between durability and lightweight. But he wants you to know that he could build it lighter if he really wanted to. So, point taken. But let's put this in the air and see how it flies. By the way, before we fly, you see these OSD elements? This is the newest SharkBite firmware that supports the full Betaflight OSD through MSP canvas mode. If you have SharkBite, you want this. And if you care about actually supporting the full Betaflight OSD, that is definitely a point in SharkBite's favor. DJI only supports a few OSD elements, and that's just the end of it. Ooh. The up tilt is a little different. I'm just going to do a couple zips around here just to get a feel for the video system. Video looks really nice. I don't think there's any debate that SharkBite has better video quality than analog. No debate. This is only the 200 milliwatt SharkBite video transmitter necessary to get the weight down. So we're not going to get the same range as on a higher output power analog or DJI. But it's just no question that There's just no question that it looks better. Does it look as good as DJI? No. Also no question about that, but there you go. A little jello. I think one of my props is a little loose, or maybe a little bent. I definitely felt more confident. I couldn't say whether it was because of the latency of the link, because as we saw, DJI was also pretty low latency at this short range. But I definitely felt more confident flying in and out of the trees. The up tilt was the tables. But I want to see how much range we can get off of this 200 milliwatt video transmitter. And then I want to compare the DJI quad to see how the latency is affected at the limit of the range. And I'm just going to fly this guy, and I bet you I'm going to... No, it does feel underpowered. It does. I'm not sure why the 1S toothpick felt better. I've got a 525 milliamp hour battery on it to add a little weight to help it with the wind. Maybe it's something about the power to weight ratio or the disc loading of the 1S toothpick that this one just doesn't feel as good out here. So he was right. This is not an outdoor cruiser. It's for indoor and tight environments. Let's see how much range we can get off the video. I want to be really clear, this is not a rigorous range test like somebody like Wesley Vardy does. We're just feeling it out. I feel pretty confident that this is, oh, there we go. It's gone, it's gone, it's gone. Get back, get back, get back. Okay, that was it. That was the break point. Woo. If we do some tighter stuff like this. So here we're outdoors, but we're still gonna do some like, let's not put it in the pool. Get down there, come on, get down there. Really get in with the obstacles, Joshua. Oh, I didn't see that corner correctly. The wind is making it pretty hard. 3.6, great flight time on this 525 milliamp hour 2S Race Day Quads battery. Oh, I was worried I was going to hit a prop there. Honestly, that was really fun. You just got to know what to expect from the quad you're flying and then find ways to make that enjoyable. And you can totally do that outdoors or indoors with a quad like that. But there's no doubt that a bigger, heavier, more powerful quad is going to be more fun in outdoor environments. So let's put this DJI Naked Vista quad up and see how it fares. And specifically, I want to figure out if it can hold latency out to the distance of the 200 milliwatt Byte system. Here we go. And we are going to turn the power on this up all the way because, of course, you got to give it its advantages. That's the point, right? Let's just take this guy down and watch the latency. 24, 29, 26, 22, 27, 25, 29. I think it's going to jump up when we get around here. 25, 22, 27, 34, 31, 30, 29, 26, 30, 22, 25. It's holding in there. 38. There we go. There's those jumps. And we're breaking up pretty seriously. One of my props is loose and it came off because I'm not using prop screws to save weight. Yeah. I noticed that the guys who race the tiny trainer don't use prop screws a lot of the time. They just use friction and it makes the prop changes a lot easier, but then if one of the props gets a little bit loose, it just comes off while you're flying. But that's okay. I can just show you some footage I shot the other day of this guy doing a little bit of outdoor acro so you can get a sense of how it flies, and then we'll come back here for the conclusion.
Hey there folks, Joshua from the future here doing the voiceover for this section. There's not really going to be any surprises here if you're familiar with how a heavier, more powerful quadcopter flies. This one is certainly the most capable outdoors of doing something that feels like freestyle for a larger quad, and the least capable indoors in a tight environment. What do you really expect? Yeah, I'll let you keep watching it for a couple more minutes, and then we'll go back for the conclusion. Ooh, hit that gap, Joshua. Yeah, big. Oh, look how high he got. Oh, yeah, going around these gates. Does it feel like a 5-inch? No, come on, of course not. But it definitely has the speed and power to make this big field feel a little bit smaller, and it definitely has the weight to handle a small amount of wind, which we definitely have this day. Anyway, oh wow, look at that acro, look at him go. Joshua, I've been doing them 3 packs a day, baby. Whee! All right, on with the video.
So what kind of conclusions can we draw from this video? Let's just get the BetaFPV 75X out of the way and say it was way, like I said earlier, if you're expecting something to be like a 3 out of 10 and it gives you a 6 out of 10, hey, it did pretty freaking good. Especially for flying indoors, especially if you're a less experienced pilot and you want to be bouncing off the walls, the prop guards definitely make a difference. But it's way heavier. It's no good for freestyle or any sort of acro flying. It's really just for cruising, maybe fast cruising. That's its purpose. It is one of the only bind and flies you can buy with a Naked Vista pre-installed today, and kudos to BetaFPV for that. The 1S BabyTooth is amazing. This is
hands down, the most fun you can have on a 1S battery. There is no question. As I said in my original review of this, one of the only downsides of it is that you can't buy it pre-installed. You have to build it yourself, and if that's just not what you're into, then you're going to struggle. But it is well worth the time it takes to build it. It's freaking amazing. 400 milliwatt TBS Unify Nano gives you more range than just about any other 1S, Tiny Whoop, etc. This is a real blast. Even outdoors, as long as there's not too much wind, you can have a good time with it. So then, the big showdown, DJI versus SharkBite. These two are the main contenders for a digital FPV toothpick. And which one's better? Depends on what you're going for. Yes, the video on the SharkBite is better than analog, way better than analog, as long as you're comparing it to a 200 milliwatt output. The 400 milliwatt TBS Unify on that BabyTooth is going to outrange this. The video won't be quite as good, but it'll still be there. On the other hand, DJI is going to give you far more range. 1200 milliwatts, you could go kilometers on that. You could certainly outfly your battery. As long as your props are spinning, it's not going to overheat too much. And the latency question, I think if you're comparing it to the 200 milliwatt SharkBite, the latency question isn't as clear-cut as you might think, because by the time SharkBite has just gone to static and isn't flyable anymore, DJI may still be down around 22, 25 milliseconds and only just start jumping to 30, 35 milliseconds at the point where you would have already turned around with the SharkBite. But there's no doubt that the one thing SharkBite brings that DJI can't compete with is weight. And weight really matters. This guy, not good for flying indoors in tight environments. It's just not ideal for that. This guy, just a little bit better. Regardless of what you're looking for, I have links to this stuff down in the video description. Especially want to thank Nate Payne, Mr. Shutterbug. I'll have a link to his build video for that little toothpick. And if you want to follow along, he doesn't use affiliate links. He doesn't monetize his videos, so I'm not going to put any affiliate links or anything like that. And I'm going to be respectful of his wishes. You can go check out his channel if you want to build one of those. And if you want to see more about the Naked Vista, I got a link to my video reviewing that and showing how you could build your own. And if you want to know more about the BabyTooth, the 1S one, I got a video where I reviewed that. All of that's down in the video description. And the BetaFPV 75X, of course, we'll have links to that. What do you think? I don't think there's a clear winner here. I bet some of you think there's a clear winner, and if you do, then I'm happy to have helped sort of give you the information you might have needed to make the decision you wanted to make. I don't think we like changed anybody's mind though. Maybe the question about range versus latency on DJI versus SharkBite. That's going to do it, though. Thank you so much for watching. Happy flying. You guys, I don't know where I am, and I don't know what's going to happen, but if I don't make it out of this, I just want to know that you subscribe to my channel, or maybe join my Patreon, or click one of these videos I picked out for you.